Final Fantasy, a series that brings to mind brave but brooding heroes, ethereal evil villains, and a dazzling array of supporting characters ranging from spellcasting children to grizzled warriors. But it isn't just the main cast that bring these stories to life. Multiple titles introduce temporary guests to the lineup to aid in the fight to save the world. Despite only gracing our screens for a short time, we think they're worthy of celebration in their own right. With that, I'm Jack from EXP Required, and here are 7 guest characters in Final Fantasy we wanted to see more of. Beware of spoilers for the following games. Our first guest is Marcus from Final Fantasy IX. A member of the Tantalus theatre troupe and accomplished thief, we first meet him in the prologue along with other members of the company as they plan to kidnap Princess Garnet from the Kingdom of Alexandria on her 16th birthday. Main character Zidane might be the one to do the dirty work, but Marcus is no less important to the plan. He plays the lead on stage and delivers a rousing performance as, Marcus, and can later be found helping the wounded after an escape gone wrong. His story doesn't end there though. Much later, when you've fallen in love with FF9's beautiful, fantastical world and forgotten all about him, he pops up again with his own motivations, to find a potion that will cure petrification for his one and only bro called Supersoft. Unlike the other members of Tantalus, he won't leave his friend for dead, even when the odds are stacked overwhelmingly against him. While he's in the party, Marcus serves mechanically as the thief, allowing you to use the steal command even when Zidane is absent. Just remember not to leave him equipped with your only blood sword, lest he leave forever with it. Next up, we follow the main characters of Final Fantasy II into the belly of the beast Leviathan on a mission to retrieve the Ultima Tome. It's here we meet the first Dragoon of the series, Ricard, or Ricard Highwind, who ends up sacrificing himself to allow the party to escape. While his story ends here, the additional dungeon, sort of DLC, Soul of Rebirth, has him return to continue the fight against the Emperor alongside other friends you've lost along the way. Ricard's high strength stat makes him a powerful attacker and valuable ally for the time you have him. Later versions of FF2 give him proficiency with spears as a throw forward to the Dragoons of later titles, who, you guessed it, all use lances and have a connection to dragons in design, if not backstory. It's a crying shame we never got to see him ride a wyvern or reunite with his friend's widow Elena and her son Kain. If only we could see him pass on the legacy of the Dragoons. You might be tempted to think that the last person you need on your adventures is a forgetful old man with a fuse shorter than your summoner companion. But it doesn't matter what you think, FF4's Tellah is coming with you regardless. Known as Mycelia's Great Sage, he joins you in the search for his wayward daughter, who's run off with the supposed love of her life. When tragedy strikes, he leaves to pursue his revenge, taking all those advanced spells with him. With all the death fake-outs occurring throughout the story, Tellah is the only member of the cast to stay dead, possibly a nod to the fact that he's the only one who acts in self-service instead of sacrifice. He himself is aware of the fact, and with his dying breath, asks you to carry out the vengeance in his stead. With all that said, it's hard to hate such an accomplished spellcaster so early in the game, especially in the DS remake, where his recall ability gives you a chance of seeing some late-level offensive spells. He's also programmed to get weaker as he levels up, likely to show that his body isn't as sharp as his mind, or his tongue. Even non-fans will recognise our next guest member. With his long hair and even longer sword, it's impossible not to know Sephiroth, main antagonist of Final Fantasy VII. While the main story has you chasing him after he cuts a bloody path through Shinra Tower, we're treated early on to an up-close and personal look at his strength. Any battles you encounter during the Nibelheim flashback see Sephiroth by your side, with stats that completely eclipse young rookie Cloud's, guaranteed critical hits, and access to several mastered materia to showcase his brute strength. He's also not an entirely offensive character. If Cloud is KO'd during the course of battle, Sephiroth will occasionally cast Life 2 on him, reviving him with full HP. Interestingly, though he is equipped with a cure materia, he will never use a curative spell, so if for whatever reason you need to heal while climbing the mountain, you're going to have to do it yourself. The opening chapter of FF7 Rebirth has you briefly take control of Sephiroth, but while it's a dream come true, we still want to be able to play through his original version for longer to unleash hell on any mob unfortunate enough to stand in our way. From one antagonist to the next, gunblade-wielding Seifer of Final Fantasy VIII. Main character Squall's rival and reverse mirror, who keeps up with the party easily, despite not making it into Elite Mercenary Force Seed. You fight him a whopping 4 times throughout the story, and not once is he anything other than a worthy adversary. It comes as a shock to control him during the opening Dollet mission, after watching him injure Squall to the point of needing hospitalization, more so since this spark gone wrong is never discussed. Impulsive to the last, once he starts delivering his own orders, you get the sense that it's pretty normal for him to do as he pleases. Of course, it can't go without being mentioned, his limit break fire cross turns out to be what he beats Squall with in the opening cutscene, and we'd love to see what else he'd be capable of if he stayed with the party. A brilliant contrast to the mostly sensible people you travel with, his presence could easily have introduced more tension to the early stages of FF8, although he manages that pretty well even when he's by himself. Another antagonist, Final Fantasy XV's Aranea Highwind, is a fight-first, join-later kind of girl. Initially fought as a member of the Imperial Army in a battle that ends before you can defeat her, she acts primarily as a mercenary, with no hard feelings towards Noctis and co, going so far as to team up with them later in Staylif Grove. During her time in the party, Aranea makes it clear her loyalty to the Empire ends when the guild runs dry, later defecting from them entirely. After Chapter 7, she has the chance to appear randomly during nighttime hunts, leaving as quickly as she dropped in, to our immense sadness. She has no time for nonsense, and in battle reflects this, occasionally healing Noctis and sending him on his way with a gentle kick. While it's a real shame episode Aranea was cancelled, along with a handful of other DLC episodes, her story is continued in the light novel Dawn of the Future, which sees her attitude and competence return as she helps protect the people of Niflheim from demons. We only wish we could have gotten to play as her properly. Our final entry is another Dragoon. I make no apologies for having 3 of them on this list. FF16's Dion Lesage. Not to be outdone by the others, he can transform into Bahamut to turn the tide of battle in an instant, and is a skilled fighter even without this ability. Though 16's story is dense and sprawling, Dion's segments are relatively straightforward. A brave and noble man who fights his father's wars to protect their nation's people. His path collides with main character Clive's as the Mother Crystals begin disappearing from the world. A collision course that leads to one of the most intense battles in the narrative, perhaps the franchise as a whole. Dion later joins the cast as they make their way towards the crystalline domain of the Big Bad, and combines his powers with that of Ifrit and Phoenix to ensure their victory. Unfortunately, while he can be spoken to at Clive's base of operations, he never truly joins the party to be brought along in the field. A real shame, as his prowess in battle would be welcomed on hunts. Sadly for us, Square Enix have announced no further DLC, though there's still time for something Dion-centric if you ask us. So that was our list of 7 guest characters in Final Fantasy we wanted more of. Let us know your personal favourites in the comments below. Please like, subscribe and share the video around. If you'd like to hear more Final Fantasy discussion, we also have a podcast linked in the description below. Thanks for watching and see you next time.